6 o'clock, we'll enter into our special council meeting. So it is 5:30 now, we'll start time. Since this is a work session, we'll go ahead and get into it. Under no uncertain order, we'd like to go ahead and call our first candidate. Who needs to go and
Frank, would you go there? I need a lady here.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Strong preference.
It doesn't matter, Mayor.
It does. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Test.
Still getting it.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Slide it.
Slide.
Perfect, I'm glad you did that. So I was going to ask you about language. Good evening, how are you doing tonight?
Everyone, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Very well, very well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I know this is a timed event for you and everything like that. We have one gentleman that is absent, so we'll just we'll give that time, I guess, basically back to you.
Okay.
We've got 3 candidates to get through in a 30-minute period.
Okay.
So we'll give each candidate 10 minutes. I would say 2 minutes per council person.
Okay.
And then if you want to start or end with 2 minutes, kind of telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. No problem.
So,
Well, you guys start first.
Yep, perfect. Go ahead.
You want me to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's all yours.
Okay. Well, I'm Nicole Terry. I work for Jefferson County Commission in their courthouse in the finance department.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Nicole Terry.
Terry, okay.
Oh, can you guys hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. Well, I live in Hueytown, Alabama. I was unemployed for a little while until I got into the merit system with the county. Prior to that, being unemployed, my father passed away, and we had to kind of think of how we're going to get a job, and so that came about with the Jefferson County Commission in their finance department. So I have been there with them for 4 years. I work heavily under the CFO and the deputy director. I'm working mainly with accounts receivable. I get in the checks for Jefferson County. I handle the deposits, the entries into our unit system with everything that comes in from there. Not married, no kids. So if you know anyone, let me know. But just like I said, just me, coming through the system. I used to be a senior Medicare auditor. I did Medicare for 13 years. I got laid off there because they saw a different way to go. So we lost the contract with the MAC with that. So that's how I ended up at Jefferson County in their finance department.
We still got another 30 seconds. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about you?
I think that's it about me. I'm an open book pretty much. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask me. I don't have a problem with answering those questions for you.
Okay, perfect. We'll go ahead and go in an organized manner. Councilwoman Coyle, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Okay. One of the things we discussed, Ms. Terry, was the treasurers being the CFO and the fact that they work with bond payments because the city does have some debt, and also in preparing our city's annual budget. Can you talk to me a little bit about your experience in calculating and or taking care of bond payments for Jefferson County?
Well, currently I do not take care of those actual bond payments. I do the reconciliation of those bond payments to the actual statements that are submitted from the bank. So I would look at those, and we had a principal accountant that actually did debt management.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was looking for a senior accountant, I just worked with him just to help him reconcile those bond payments to the reconciliation.
Okay. And how about, the budgeting process? Are you involved in any of the budgeting process for Jefferson County?
No, ma'am, we have a budget department.
Okay.
They normally get with our general ledger team, and they are the ones that, would talk about the actual budget in itself. I'm on the general ledger team, but that side of it, no, the budget team would handle that.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. I'll go ahead and defer to Councilman Fox.
Well, hi, Ms. Terry, how are you?
I'm doing well, how about yourself?
We appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you.
You had said that you work in the AR department?
Correct.
Okay. And what all type of receivables do fall under your domain there?
Pretty much, kind of all of them.
So just general county stuff, or do you specifically handle tax collections or?
Tax collection they have their own area that they collect in for that. What I would do is I would invoice out different customers, and they would send in different payments to me. I would receive in payments from the state in regards to business privilege taxes. I also do journal entries from the tax collector's office in order to submit out the road tax, which the city of Irondale should receive that check once a year, as well as the business privilege tax check. Other ones will be just those various odd and end checks that come in. Tax collectors send us a lot of checks, but most of them are coming from the state of Alabama, and they're also coming from those customers that are invoiced out on a monthly basis.
Very good. Do you deal with any delinquent accounts or collecting any of those as part of your?
Yes, sir, I actually do. Before I got there, they were in the process of changing over to that MUNIT system. And the MUNIT system, we didn't understand at that particular time how to retrieve our people that owed us money. So what I did was I kind of researched the system myself, and I came up with the agent report. And based on that agent report, we print out statements and send them out to our customers, those that are 60 days prior to the date. So if it's, say we're in April now, anybody that's January has delinquency January and back into 2015, because we converted software in 2015, we will send them an actual statement. So we'll also reach out to them via email. In the email, my name is attached to the email, so if they want to set up payment arrangements, they can contact me, and we'll keep those emails and verify that they're actually handling those payment arrangements the way they should.
Okay, very good. So then you're very well versed, I would take it in as well, in just clerical principles, being able to administer things that disseminate information to the council or to department heads as directed by the mayor, different things like that, operating programs. Well, operating programs are included with.
All of them, as far as like your Excel, Closure, Word, we pretty much use all of them. My main one is Excel. I use it the most because I'm sending out mostly spreadsheets to different areas, and if I need to get in touch with the department heads, I will send a spreadsheet to them and kind of tell them this is what I need and this is what I'm trying to obtain, but we mostly use Excel most of the time.
Very good. Okay. Thank you so much. I don't think I have any more questions, Council President.
All right, thank you. Ms. Terry.
Terry.
Terry. I had to think about that. Once I said Terry, I said Terry. Terry, I'm sorry. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we all have strengths and weaknesses. So, in our jobs that we currently perform, but what do you consider one of your biggest weaknesses if you were chosen as the Irondale City Clerk?
My biggest weakness, I think, would have based on the description of the job. I don't really have a lot of resolution and ordinance experiences. Resolutions, I do read them because I do have to incorporate them into, when I have to do an invoice entry for accounts payable, I have to make sure that resolution has been signed and is in the minute book prior to me sending out those information. Just like with the city of Irondale, when they receive that road tax or that business privilege tax, I have to key in their information that's due to the city of Irondale. I also have to include that resolution from the commission to let them know that this is okay for us to go ahead on and pay this, because this is not our money. This is money that needs to be distributed out to those other municipalities. But for my weakness, that would be the one that I really don't have a lot of experience in. But like I said, I'm a learner, so I'm very, very teachable. So if I get in there and get started on it, I don't have a problem with reading up on it and just kind of learn it for myself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. One question that I have is basically, let's talk about a time where maybe it was a disagreement that you might have had with your supervisor or a peer. How did you work out a negative confrontation when maybe you were right, the other person was wrong, and you had to find common ground?
Okay. Well, first thing I usually do when that happens is we try to meet together, not necessarily in a group setting, because that's not the time or place to handle whatever confrontation we need to handle right then. So we would get together and we would kind of talk about it and to see my point and see that person's point. And if they're right, I don't have a problem with it being, you know, hey, I'm sorry, I maybe read that wrong or I misinterpreted that, and it's fine, it's not a problem. But we didn't have a conflict where we just kind of didn't like each other anymore and just didn't talk to each other, because in jobs, even though you may not get along, you still have to work together to make one common ground.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
That comes right to the end of our time here. Is there any last follow-up questions for this young lady before we move to our next candidate?
I don't have any, thank you.
Questions? Thank you.
I want to thank you again, Ms. Terry, for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
been a delight to meet you in person.
Thank you. It's been, it's mutual. Like I said, I hear names, but don't know who they are, but it's great to put a face with everyone now. So I really appreciate you having me here today.
I hope it's good when you hear those names.
Look, I promise you,
Just, as long as you say on Facebook, when you pull up the city of Irondale, you'll be okay.
I promise you, I won't look up any one of y'all on Facebook.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Ms. Terry.
Okay.
And I believe Mr. Frank will see you out and everything. And have a lovely evening. And once again, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. You guys have a lovely evening as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is more, I think, for me, an opportunity to lay out. You know, there's a lot that we can cover by this.
Microphone there.
Good evening, how are you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Perfect, and what's your name?
My name is Ruth Jackson.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us. This is a 30-minute meeting with 3 candidates, so we're assigning 10 minutes to each one. There's 4 of us, 4-person panel right now, we're missing someone, so what we will do is if you could just take 2 minutes to kind of talk about yourself, and then we will have 2 minutes each to kind of ask you some questions. We have your information in front of us, so please, the floor is yours.
So, again, my name is Ruth Jackson, and I'm a resident of Birmingham. I grew up in Birmingham and went to school to H. Harper High School. There I was involved in the SECNY program, which was Science and Engineering, and also Future Business Leaders of America. And from there I went to college. I pursued a degree in history as well as accounting, and started on a master's in public administration. And from there I've been working in banking, auditing, and government.
Thank you. All right, Councilwoman Craver?
Yes, Ms. Jackson, you're currently working for the city of Auburn, and one of the questions that I noted in our discussion is that our treasurer, when you fill in the role of both city clerk and treasurer, the treasurer is the most important person within this municipality because they are our chief financial officer. And so what can you tell me about your experience in calculating and or taking care of bond payments of a municipality? Do you have experience in that? And if so, can you please explain?
Yes, so I do calculate and make the general ledger entries for our bond payments. Our bond payments are made according to an amortization schedule that was figured when the bond was originally issued. And so each month that we do make those payments, I apply the payments according to the amortization schedule. And then at the end of the year, I reconcile our GL accounts to the amortization schedule to make sure that the totals match.
Very good. Do you have experience in preparing a municipality's annual budget?
I do have experience in working on the sales tax and business license portion of the annual budget. Of course, I do monthly calculations as far as sales tax revenue and business license revenue, and also quarterly, and we send those projections to the revenue manager and the finance director. And so those numbers are used in preparing any variances and any reports that are used to prepare the annual budget and the comprehensive annual report.
All right, one last question. Based on your experience, what is the most challenging task for you when dealing with the public? And how do you approach these challenges?
So the most challenging task is just providing the right answer to the question. A lot of our taxpayers and citizens come in wanting a simple answer, and we do have to find out what the complete picture is before we can answer them and provide assistance. A lot of them come in wanting to start a business, and they want to know, how do I start a business? Do I just get a business license? And there is a whole process that we have to take them through. But of course, I do provide information about the business license process of that and the sales tax if that applies to their business, and giving them the information that they need to do what they need to do in their businesses and in the city.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Councilman Box?
Ms. Jackson, thanks for coming. We're glad that you're interested in interviewing with us for our city. You had said that you are currently a city clerk now, or just clerkly work for the city of Auburn?
I am a revenue accountant for the city of Auburn, yes.
Revenue for the city of Auburn, okay, very well. And how does that interface with your city clerk's job at the existing city you're in?
So I recommend certain items to the city council to be placed on the agenda, mainly dealing with ABC licenses for the city, as well as other information regarding the budget. And I give that information to the city clerk, and they prepare it for the agenda. We also have penalty waivers that if they are over a certain amount, they have to be approved by the city. And so that goes on the council agenda to be approved. And there are certain other measures that have to be approved by the council.
Very good. And do you have any accounts receivable or any invoicing or billing experience in, or any, any of those duties in the job you're performing now?
Yes, I perform all of those duties in my current job.
Okay. And really the last question I have is, as far as operating systems, what operating systems are you proficient and familiar with in the job you're in now or even outside of that?
Well, there are a lot of them, may miss a few, but I'm familiar with Oracle, QuickBooks, we use Munis, Microsoft Dynamics, and Lotus Notes, PeopleSoft. I can't think of all of them, but those are the primary ones that I've used, as well as Microsoft Office for other administrative needs.
Very good, very good. And I think that's all I have.
Councilman Wilson?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, for coming tonight, taking the time to come and talk to us. One of the questions I have is, we all have strengths and weaknesses as we perform our daily duties, but what would you consider one of your biggest weaknesses if you was to become the city clerk of Irondale?
I think one of my biggest weaknesses is that I'm very analytical, and some may think that I'm too analytical, but I like to present all sides of an issue and provide as much information as possible. So it might seem like information overload, but I just like to be able to provide what is needed to fully understand the big picture of the problem.
Okay. I noticed on your resume you stated you're a certified revenue examiner. So is that as far as the classes or any conferences? Well, not conferences, but to be certified, is this an annual recertification or every 6 months? Or?
It's an annual recertification. I have to take 40 hours of training, and 8 of those hours I take through the ALTIS board, and then the remaining hours I usually take through the Alabama Society of CPAs, and so I'm taking classes almost on a monthly basis to maintain my hours in various accounting topics.
So forgive my ignorance, but you said CPA, so you're a certified CPA, I guess.
No, I'm not a certified, I'm not a certified CPA, but we can take classes through that organization because they are a certified body.
Okay.
Classes that are regarding to accounting or anything dealing with taxes, policy, that will, that meets the requirements for the CRA certification.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Just one question for me. I too can be a little over analytical. I know the detriment that can sometimes bring to the table. Give me an example, leave the names out, obviously to protect the innocent, but a time where you had to boil down a complicated, potentially negative situation to either someone you worked with or possibly a citizen that was asking a question of you.
So a lot of times we have citizens who will come in and they've already started operating their business and they don't know where to start because they didn't obtain the proper licenses, they didn't get the proper education, and they didn't set up a sales tax account in most cases. So what I have to do is just understand where they are, find out what it is that they're doing in their business, and then communicate with them what I think that they should do going forward. Making sure they get the business license, they set up the tax account, and they meet with the SBA or other departments in the city that can help them, and that usually will help resolve the problem.
And you guys go through that process, hold their hand?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
1 minute left for any follow-up questions.
Ms. Jackson, I just want to let you know that I'm delighted to personally meet you finally, and I want to thank you for your interest in filling this position.
Thank you.
I too want to thank you for your time, Ms. Jackson, and thank you for your interest in this position. We'll have someone see you out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening, council members. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm assuming you're Ms. Brown, is that
Yes.
accurate?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we've got about 10 minutes here, and there are 4 of us. We've got a gentleman that is missing, so feel free to take about 2 minutes to describe yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll take about 2 minutes to ask you some follow-up questions.
Okay. What I'd like to introduce myself, I'm Benita Brown. I'd like you to know that I am a very driven person. I think that I lead from integrity. I have extensive background with acting as a liaison between various departments. And I also currently work as a senior accountant where I am responsible for bookkeeping, also responsible for bank reconciliations, making reports that we need to turn into the state every month. I have experience leading. I have experience dealing with the public, conflict resolution, and if you choose me for this position, I believe that I would be a great fit because I am able to just I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I'm able to act with precision in any given duty that I'm assigned to. And overall, I think that I would be a good fit because I'm I'm ready and eager to learn new things and also bring the skills that I currently have to the city of Irondale in this position. And I guess that's it.
That'll do. Very good. Thank you. Councilwoman Quayle?
Ms. Brown, I'm delighted to finally meet you in person.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome, and I want to thank you for your interest in this position. We've done phone interviews, and so I'm going to focus on the questions that I've asked all the two prior candidates.
Yes.
And that is, your experience as, because I'm looking at it for the treasurer, you've given me information on the city clerk. The treasurer is my concern here. What is your experience in calculating and or taking care of bond payments of a municipality? And if you have it, can you please explain what you do?
In bond payments,
Yes, ma'am.
we, I have experience in cash management. I also have experience in receiving payments from municipalities and also giving payments to municipalities. As far as bond payments in particular, I don't have that kind of experience.
Do you have experience in preparing the municipality's annual budget?
No, I do not.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and defer to Councilman Box now.
Well, and thanks for coming, Ms. Brown. We
Nice to meet you,
appreciate
Councilman
you
Box.
being here with us to give us the talking, so just relax, we're all just, we're real quickly, you did say that you worked some with, I guess, receivables from
Yes.
some of the cities, and then also payment processing for those, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and how does that dovetail into any administrative or clerical needs, which, you know, as a treasurer, as Councilwoman Quaylar is alluding to, that's gonna be a very important part of the position. But the city clerk part, being able to disseminate the information, what operating systems or tools do you have in that realm, or is that something you rely more on a team to take care of?
We do work as a team in the tax collector's office, but we do utilize the E-ring system, and what it does is we'll enter the information into the E-ring system, and it will determine what the millage for each parcel is. It really breaks down all of the calculations for us so that we're able to pull that information after we're able to once we're able to navigate through the software, we're able to pull up that information with ease.
Okay, so you're fairly comfortable using several different platforms then of information dissemination and also calculation or retention?
That's correct, because we use E-ring. There's also Munis that we use. I have experience in some of the GIS mapping software that's used at the city as well. All of that information we use to get whatever the situation is. We use it to get an overall understanding of the big picture, and we're also able to disseminate that information into various reports that need to be sent to the state every month and every year as well.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, good evening, Ms. Brown.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
The question I have is, you know, we all have strengths and weaknesses when it comes to performing our jobs. What would be one of your biggest challenges or weakness if you were chosen as the city clerk here in Irondale?
One of the things that I have been working on is I tend to be an introvert, and speaking in front of people may sometimes come up a little challenging for me.
I understand, Councilman Bott, we're just regular people now. We are.
But one of the things that I have done is I've taken speech classes to help me speak better and portray my thoughts better to everyone. And also, I've joined the Toastmasters, my local Toastmasters club, so that I'm able to speak better and feel more comfortable speaking in front of an audience, regardless of what the subject is. So,
How long have you been in Toastmasters? I'm in Toastmasters.
I've been in it for a year now.
Okay.
Yes. Birmingham City Classic Toastmasters.
Magic City.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good.
Yes. So that would probably be my biggest challenge. It's something that I continue to work on vigorously so that it isn't a challenge for me anymore.
Well, thank you.
And greetings, and thank you for your interest in the position and your time tonight. One question, you mentioned conflict resolution previously. Can you kind of take us through a time maybe where you had to enter into some conflict resolution with either maybe a citizen that was going through some things or possibly a supervisor at work here? And how that was handled and resolved?
Sure. There was a particular instance in the department that I currently work in, and there is a particular way that my new supervisor wanted me to, a particular format that my supervisor wanted me to turn in for bank reconciliations. And it wasn't a hard thing to do, but it would have, at the time, we were at the height of our tax collection season, and some of the things that she wanted me to do would have been more time consuming than it normally was. What I did was simply make a copy of the format of how she wanted me to do it, as opposed to what it is now, and also explain what changes would need to be made and how that would affect my time management with other deadlines that needed to be met. So after speaking with her about it, we were able to come up with a resolution where we could incorporate some of the ideas that she had wanted me to incorporate into the format, as well as keeping, without me having to spend a lot of time doing it. So, that's as far as with the supervisor. There's been times when I worked in the tag unit with Jefferson County where we would have specific different customers that may come in and they don't realize that they have a fine that they have to pay in order to get their tags. They may get really upset, and they're wanting to take it out on the cashier that's in front of them. And the cashier is really just doing their job, telling them I can't take your payment unless you pay the whole thing. There's been plenty of times that I've had to come and just explain it to the customer again, just to let them know it really isn't anything that we can do, but we want to help you in every way that we can. So after explaining to them and also making suggestions of how they can go about resolving the issue, and even going as far sometimes as to even like speak with someone in Montgomery to get them to maybe extend the payment period so that this person could actually save money to make a payment without having to incur further fines and that kind of thing. So I've done that many times, and it really helps when the customer knows that they're being heard, and also that you genuinely want to help them. You're not just passing them along or just saying that we can't do anything for you. They really want to know that you're there for them and you're listening to them and you want to help them. And most times when I have gone through that process, we've had a smooth transition. we made it so that they could come back and make their payments and get their tags so that they can drive to work and continue life as it was before.
Perfect, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Before we let this young lady go, is there any final follow-up question?
No questions, but thank you so much, Ms. Brown, for coming and for your interest.
Thank you so much for you all.
Thanks again for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis, see you out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. We'll wait for Frank to get back. That concludes our work session for the evening. We're now going to go ahead and transition into our special call council meeting. Councilman Box, if you're nice enough to open us up.
Everybody would join me for a moment. Creator, we thank you that you're allowed us to be here. Thank you that you provided a pathway for me to join you again. Help us to understand and know the things you have us to do. Help us to serve the citizens here to the best of our ability. Give us your ability to do it where we fall short. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. We'll go ahead and go into roll call. Councilman Quayle. Councilman Quayle. Here. Councilman Box.
Here.
Councilman Wilson.
Present.
And myself, President. John Lennon is absent this evening. All right. So our one and only agenda item tonight, basically the members of the City Council, the city needs to convene an executive session for two purposes. Number one, to discuss with the attorney the legal ramifications of legal and legal options for controversies not yet being litigated, but immediately likely to be litigated. Number two, to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the city of Irondale is in competition with other governmental entities in Alabama. And thirdly, to discuss the consideration the City Council is willing to offer or accept when considering the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or market value of real property. Ms. Danielson has provided the City Council with a written statement that executive session is appropriate under Alabama Code 36-25A-7, A3, and A7 to discuss pending litigation. Therefore, I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session. As stated.
Wilson has made a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Mr. Pennington, please conduct a roll call vote of this motion and record each councilperson's vote. Councilwoman Quayle?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. Those present are advised that this body has voted to enter into executive session as required by law. Any deliberation between the members of this body relating to these issues will be conducted in an open meeting. This council will not reconvene after this executive session. The City Council will now enter executive session. Thank you.